نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد بسم الله. So as I was saying, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us an opportunity, alhamdulillah, to be here and offer our Friday prayers. And indeed, it's a blessing. It's an opportunity that we get every week to offer our prayers and make sure that we are treating Fridays always as special days. It is considered, and some mentioned, it is considered Eid for us. Every week we get an Eid, and that is the Friday. So we should really dress ourselves accordingly and be prepared to come to masjid, nicely perfumed, showered, and really dressed up for this occasion. So I wanted to focus today on something that is important, that affects all of us. And many of us, although exhibit this behavior, but do not really think about it, right? Do not really reflect upon it. And honestly, very few of us even resist this behavior. So that's the focus of our discussion today. All of us have high dreams of success. We all have goals in our mind that we want to achieve. If you're a student, you want to ace the exams. If you are a working professional, you want to get promoted or getting a good bonus every year. If you're a businessman, you want to make sure that you are making more profit this year than last year. Right? So everyone has a dream. If you're, someone who is poor, he wants to make sure that he gets rich. That's his goal. Like, how can I earn more money? Everyone has a goal in mind. So you have goals for yourself, your goals for your family. And when a new year comes, you think about renewing those goals, making the new year resolution, and then making a plan how to achieve those goals. But there's one thing that blocks us from achieving our goals. There's one thing that blocks us from achieving our goals. And that is not outside of us, actually it's within us. It's our mental state, it's our excuses. It's how we look at things, and when we do not achieve our goals, we come up with excuses why we did not achieve a goal. And I want to differentiate between two things which are similar but different. Excuses versus reasons. Excuses versus reasons. And a lot of times you are giving excuses when in fact we should be looking at reasons. And there's a major difference in the two. And I'll give you an example. Imagine you have to work in a team to deliver a project, but you do not meet the timeline, right? You do not meet the timeline. So what do you say? Well, I failed this project because my teammates did not deliver what they were expected to deliver. You can think of this as a reason, but it's more of an excuse. What would have been a good way to look at it, more of a rational way, is to look at it more from your own perspective. Well, maybe I did not follow up. So I failed the project because I did not follow up with my teammates. I failed the project because I did not escalate it to my supervisor or manager. So change the perspective. Don't make it external. Think about it as internal, something that you could have done, but you did not do it. And this is why when you're giving excuses, you're many times justifying, the blame. Right? You're trying to get out of the blame yourself and putting the blame somewhere else. Versus if you're giving a reason, you're trying to give a logical explanation of cause and effect. This happened, and that's why something else happened. And that gives you the direction to how to do it better. Instead of an excuse will be one thing this time, something else next time. So I thought we look at top 3 excuses we all come up with when we do not reach our goals. And then we look towards Quran and Sunnah and understand, well, how do we react when we are finding ourselves in those situations? When we are thinking of that as an excuse, how do we look at Quran and Sunnah and say, you know what, that's an excuse, but really this is how we should act. So the very first one, if you have goals in mind, and again, if you're someone who has not made goals, then you have a false start. Then really this does not apply to you because you don't even have goals. All of us should have goals in life. Whether those goals are for success in the worldly sense or success in the sense of hereafter. But we need to have goals. So when we do not meet our goals or when we are struggling to meet our goals, what are the excuses that we come up with and how to overcome them? That's the topic of today, inshallah. So I'll go through the top 3 excuses that we all find ourselves saying and find others saying the same thing. The number one is, I don't have enough time. I want to do something, I have a goal in mind, I have clear understanding of where I want to be, but I don't have enough time. And many times, if you look at this excuse, it's not because of lack of time, it's more because of poor time management or incorrect prioritization. Poor time management, incorrect prioritization. So on one hand, you see people watching sports for hours, dramas, movies for hours, spending time scrolling through their social media reels for hours, and they do not link the two things together. The time I'm spending there is actually what I'm not spending on my goal. So you're not finding 30 minutes to spend on your goal, and yet you're spending hours somewhere else. Time management is important. So let's look at two narrations which would guide us in focusing our attention and overcoming this excuse. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions, من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. Part of the perfection of one's Islam is that he leaves what does not concern him. That he leaves what does not concern him. So a lot of times, look at your own personal lives. What is occupying you? Is that something that is relevant, important, more important than your goal, or you're just keeping yourself busy? You're killing time. Okay? So that's a criteria all of us can have. And then another one, اكلفوا من العمل ما تطيقون فإن خير العمل أدومه وإن قل. Take on only as much as you can do of good deeds, for the best of deeds is that which is done consistently, even if it is little. What does that mean? If you have a goal in mind, make it into baby steps, something that you do every day towards that goal. Nothing you can do in a single day, but you have to start small. So time should not be an excuse, because you're not expecting yourself to spend hours upon hours. Spend 30 minutes, but do it every day. Nabi also mentions how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes the work that is done consistently, even if it is little. And you will realize eventually, wow, after 1 month, 2 months, a year, you have achieved your goal. So that's the number one excuse. You do not have time, and really it's more about disengaging from things that are not relevant. And second, start doing little by little. The second excuse that you see people giving when they're not reaching their goals: I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough resources. So I want to start a business, I want to do a degree program, I want to change my career, but I do not have enough money, I don't have enough connections, I don't have the tools for the job. And these are real challenges. These are not made up challenges. These are truly problems. What you need to do, you have to be creative, persistent to overcome your limitations. And I think the number one thing you have to do when you're finding yourself in this situation is to trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'll mention to you this verse, which really is very inspiring. When you find yourself helpless, you should read this verse and remind yourself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Talaq, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه. Whoever fears Allah, He will make for him a way out, and Allah will provide from him where he does not expect. And whoever relies upon Allah, then Allah is sufficient for him. Subhanallah. If you are struggling, you're not finding any way, you think it's because of you don't have enough money, you don't have enough connections, you don't have enough means or tools, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough for you. Be creative, do your part, but trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will find the way. And the last one, the third excuse, it is too hard. Whatever you're trying to achieve, it is too hard. You're concerned you might fail. What if it does not work out? The reality is, in this world, nothing is easy. As they say, there is no free lunch. There is no free lunch. It is a place by design of turmoil, of action. So some people cannot start the goal that they have in mind simply because they're too concerned. And their fear paralyzes themselves. So I want to point out what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions. And again, this is how we should look at Quran. There's guidance in Quran about everything. There's guidance in Quran about everything. I'm talking about goals here. These could be worldly goals. There's guidance in Quran about those as well. What does Allah say? Surah Alam Nashrah. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا. إِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Subhanallah. With hardship, indeed, there is ease. And Allah says twice, with hardship, there is ease. So if you're finding it hard to achieve your goal, there will be times things will get easy for you. That is the inspiration you get. And then there is another verse, which, we read it and we listen to it. Surah Baqarah, at the end of it, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not burden a soul beyond its limits. So whatever you're trying to do is part of your goal, it is achievable. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not burden you to do something that you're not capable of doing. So we talked about goals and we talked about excuses. I want to also talk about, in the last couple of minutes, the focus. What should be our focus? How should we devise our goals? You can look at your goals of this dunya, which is okay to have, but you should also have goals of akhirah. And there is a very concerning verse that I want to share with you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions Surah Al-Imran. وَمَنْ يُرِدْ ثَوَابَ الدُّنْيَا نُؤْتِهِ مِنْهَا وَمَنْ يُرِدْ ثَوَابَ الْآخِرَةِ نُؤْتِهِ مِنْهَا. And whoever desires the reward of this world, we will grant him the reward of this world. Whoever desires the reward of this world, Allah is guaranteeing, we will grant him the reward of this world. And the second part of the verse, whoever desires the reward of hereafter, we will grant him the reward of hereafter. Right? So it's whatever you work towards. You work towards this dunya, you will get this dunya. That's why kuffar, they are having a very luxurious life, because they're working towards this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is rewarding them in this world. There's another verse which is even more scary. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you work for this world only, it goes one step further. You will not have any part in the hereafter. Allahu Akbar. If all your goals are about success in this world, how can I get a better education, better house, better car, better spouse, whatever, get rich so I can buy whatever I want? If that's all that occupies you, you work towards it, you overcome your excuses, you will get it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guarantees. But you will not have any part in the hereafter. And that's a big loss. Okay, so when you're making our goals, we have to make sure we are making our goals for this world and the hereafter, because that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is expecting us to do. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has given us a dua. So we're not only about hereafter. It's okay for us to work for the pleasures of this world. It's okay. But don't forget the hereafter. Okay? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us through Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam an amazing dua, a simple dua. We recite it, but we have to recite with intention. So we'll close with that. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Oh Allah, give us the best of this world and the best of the hereafter, inshallah. So that should be our struggle. That should be our focus. Don't have excuses, pull you back from the goals that you want to achieve. Make goals for this world. Make goals for hereafter. There's actually a way you can make every goal in this world that will work towards your akhirah as well. As long as you do it according to Sunnah with the right intention, inshallah, you will get reward of that in the hereafter. So you're building this world, you're also building the hereafter. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك.